Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Cory Outten, owner of OuttenFit Nutrition. Wanted to welcome you to my podcast. This is going to be the first episode of the podcast. If there's anything in particular you'd ever want me to cover, feel free to send me a DM or hit me up on any of my social media platforms, and I'll try to work it into the next episodes that we do. So this would be just an introduction to basically me and OuttenFit Nutrition. From when I started it to where it is right now. I always get a lot of questions about, how I started a supplement company, what it entails, and just background info on it. I have a lot of people hit me up about they want to start their own or they're looking into wanting to get into the supplement field. So hopefully my introduction can touch on a few of those points for you. So basically, when I started OuttenFit Nutrition, it was in 2018. I bought the name rights to my business, the fictitious name rights to my business on my birthday, June 6th in 2018, right when I had turned 23 years old. I'll be 25 next month on June 6th, so I'm almost, 2 years in to when I actually started it, but we didn't launch until about September-ish. So it's a few months process, because I already had formulas and products in mind when I had bought the fictitious name rights, but I didn't have anything set in stone. And I was still looking through contract manufacturers and, going through the pipeline of who I think would fit best with what I was looking for vision-wise. So we didn't really launch until September of 2018. So, but the story kind of behind, how I started it was growing up, I wasn't really into fitness too much until about 9th grade, I'd say, 9th, 10th grade. When I really started getting into playing football and working out. And so I was 160 pounds about in 9th grade, and then 10th grade, I was 205. I walked into high school at. So I blew up fairly quickly, but I was living in the gym at that point. I just fell in love with working out and, how I felt when I was working out. And, being sore wasn't a problem to me. I actually enjoyed it because I knew I was changing. And it was just all around. I loved everything about it. Meeting new people at the gym. Because other than that, at that point, you meet who you meet in school, and that's pretty much your select few to kind of engage with. So when you go to a gym, you meet a lot of different people, older, younger, your age. So it's a great way to network as well. So business-wise, if you go to the gym a lot, anybody that does go to the gym knows you meet a lot of new people. And so when it came to that, started meeting people and started getting into supplements just to take them for, wanting to better myself and nothing crazy. I take the usual, protein pre-workouts. I think the first pre-workout I ever took was either NO Explode or C4. And then I started getting into, the crazier things like the Jacked 3D, the original Jacks. And I took stuff like Kraken and things like that you would find, like the weird stuff. I just always liked, looking at the names and how cool the labels looked, and now leading up to it, looking back at that, that's the problem with most people now is, they look at the cool labels, but they don't look at the ingredient panel. And that's kind of where I fell into when I first started working out, because I didn't know any better at that age. I don't even know, 13, 14 when I started working out, but I started supplementing when I was about 15, 16. And so I started taking creatine and things like that. I think the first thing I took for creatine was a Cory Outten, which, I'm not a fan of now, but at the time I had no idea. But at that point I started really getting into wanting to better myself and things along those lines. So, went through high school, football, all that good stuff, went to college, was really into supplements at that point. I went to college for exercise science originally. I wanted to do strength and conditioning. That was the route I wanted to go full-time for a career. I was working with football or sports, but strictly football if I could. When it came to supplementing and things like that, I just threw that into my lifestyle at that point. For college, there's nothing really to do other than go to class, drink, party, work out, and repeat, especially because I went to Bloomsburg University, so there's not much to do around there other than that. So if you're big into fitness, then you can work out 3 times a day if you really want to, depending on your schedule. And you're full out just living that lifestyle. So in college, I was heavy into working out, especially with my roommates at the time. We would go, 9 p.m. at night and work out until 10:30, 11. We would all go together and do, WODs before our workout. Then after the WOD, we would go into our, strength training sessions. And then we would do cardio or like a tire flip around the track after. And so we were just full-fledged into it. And so we were always big into supplements. And, I started really looking at ingredients when I was taking, exercise science classes and learning about nutrition. We didn't have too many classes that really were specific when it came to that. But we did have, sports nutrition class. We had, nutrition class in general. We had resistance training technique classes. And so you kind of touched on bases of it, in that point. But I was more into supplements on my own. Following up from after college, I went to and got lucky enough to, get an internship with Rutgers football, which, if you're not familiar, it's a D1 football program. And so I was going there for strength conditioning. And during my time at school, I really fell into love with supplements, man. I loved everything about it. I loved looking at labels. I respected looking at a cool label. I liked, I started learning about what the ingredients actually do, because when you look at a label, usually, if you don't know anything about it, you'll look at the front and what it says. It'll say, powerful pumps, extreme workout, enhancer and all this different stuff, amplifier. They use these cool words, to soup it up. But if you know anything about them, a lot of them were underdosed. And when it comes to that, you'll see a spike in caffeine, like 300 to 500 milligrams of caffeine, which if you don't take that much caffeine on a daily basis, you're going to feel it. You're going to wake the fuck up. You're going to feel it. You're going to be like, wow, this shit is crazy. I feel amazing on it. And, other than that, it's pretty much the best thing about it. And so I really started looking into it. And so I started, ordering my own stuff when it comes to raw ingredients to kind of play around with things. So I would buy, supplements and then add my own twist to them and see how I felt. And I started doing that more and more. And so I was at a point where I wasn't even buying supplements anymore. I was buying raw ingredients and kind of testing it. But it's hard with that point because you can get a scale where it tells you the grams, ounces, and all that type of stuff. But when it comes to, getting down to the specific milligrams and things like that, it's a little bit tougher because, most scales won't tell you that. They'll tell you down to grams. And so you really got to kind of eyeball it so you're not sure exactly what you might be, leveling out at. But at that point, I was getting pretty good at eyeballing it and getting an idea. So, that's kind of how I taught myself a little bit about supplements more in depth wise. But, I obviously wasn't an expert on anything. And then once I was at my time at Rutgers, I really loved it, man. Supplements were helping me keep going. We were up at 3 a.m. every single day. Getting to the weight room before the players got there. We had to do check-ins and set everything up on the field. Weight racks, we had 5 different rows of, squat racks for power lifts and, explosiveness. We set the track up. We had an indoor turf straightaway. It was about 50 yards long. We were setting things up for that. So it took us a good 2 hours. Players would come in at 6 a.m. for the first session. So we had to be in there and get everything ready to go by 5 a.m. finished, because then we have players coming in for lifting check-ins, for weights, for measurements and all that. It was a pretty hectic process to get everything in before that session. So I was living on, nootropics, energy drinks, protein bars, shakes. We were always on the go. There'd be 2-hour sessions, hour of lifting, hour of conditioning. So you're just grabbing a protein shake, whatever you can get at that point, so I was losing weight like crazy. I was down 15 pounds within the first 2 weeks. We work out as a staff, so you don't really get an easy road out. It's not like you just go there, destroy the players, and you go home. You're working out too, because basically our motto there was we won't make the players do anything that we don't do ourselves. So we would put ourselves through what we made the players do that day. So you're getting in Division I football shape, as a coach on staff. And so you can't really take it easy on that. And, you have a group of 5 to 6 coaches doing it. So, you're going to call each other out. It's not like it's a group of, 40, 50 dudes where you can kind of slack off a little bit. And some players, will do anybody in sports, the coaches are looking they'll try to get a couple extra seconds of breath and all that. But yeah, man, like supplements were kind of keeping me going. I would take a nootropic when I wake up to kind of lock me in for the morning and get me going. I'd pop a protein shake for a lunch if I couldn't, house some food down. And you're just always on the go. So I really got involved with, taking my supplementing seriously when it came to that point, because I was, just keeping up with, health and multivitamins, protein, creatine to kind of, just overall health, well-being, and then also help me with my fitness goals as well. Wanting to be the best coach I could be, but also be in the best shape that I could be. And after I did an internship with them, I really started looking into the supplement, business and wanting to start my own, because, every time I did something, I could really enjoy it, but I always went back to supplements. Like, I loved everything about it. That was a passion I had. I really loved looking at, the whole process of how it becomes a product in your hand, and I love creating things. I've always have. I never touched too much into getting into designs and things like that, because I wasn't sure how to do it, but I loved the process of it. So I always respected, a good label, the time it took in to do it. And so I just fell in love with it, honestly. I just loved everything about it. And then I started really getting into depth researching about, the process of how it becomes and, the manufacturing process, behind the scenes of how to formulate, how to do your own thing. Because I was doing it, just at my home. I wasn't really doing a whole process of, the manufacturing, the behind the scenes of it. So I really started looking into that, researching. And the biggest thing, man, is I didn't know jack shit when I started. I was kind of going off just wanting to go into it because it's something I was really passionate about. And you can always make, really great products, but that doesn't mean anything that, you're going to be successful. I know a lot of people that can formulate out their ass, but they know the amount of work it entails to starting a company, especially a supplement company, and sticking through with it. You're not going to make money off the get-go. And, if you are, then your business is going to tank, because that means you're more than likely not recycling the money back into your business, So you got to be able to survive without putting money into your own pocket from your business for a while. And, I'm not even 2 years in yet, and I'm just recycling money back into my business to help it grow. That's why, I have a whole line right now of products, and that's because I don't take anything from it. I put it right back into my business. And a lot of people, if you want to be successful in it, you have to understand that you can't take the money from your business and expect for it to grow if you're putting money in your pocket from it at the beginning. So that's a big thing that a lot of people got to get, is you're not going to make money right off the bat. And you might not make money for years. And so, but if you go into it with no expectation of being able to take money from it, then I think you have a very good chance of doing it, because you're not relying on that to pop off and that be your Achilles heel. And so if you're really passionate about it, then, I believe if you work your ass off, it's going to play out how it's supposed to. And so that's basically what I did, man. I started researching. I started reaching out to people. There's a lot of good people that I know. I kind of had a gauge off of to see how they were doing it. Shout out to the guys at Bear Performance Nutrition. I went to college with Preston down there. They're really good dudes. They deserve everything that they get. That's why I want to give them a shout out. They're good people. They work their asses off. And I kind of had, a point where I was like, they work their ass off for what they get, and I want to do that too. This is something that I really am passionate about. It's not just, a side hobby. I want it to be a hobby. I want it to be a career. And so I really started getting into it, and then I said, oh, fuck it, I'm going to do it. This is what I want to do. And so I'm going in through it. Long story short, when it comes to starting a business, especially a supplement company, you need some sort of money. And, I had gotten money from a family member passing away, somebody very close to us, and I took that money. I could have done anything with it. I could have saved it. I could have, went out and spent it on, anything they wanted to, stuff like that, or dumb shit. But I wanted it to mean something, what I was going to use it for. And so I started my business with that money. It's something I was really passionate about. I said, I'm going to use this and make sure that this goes to good use.